Mayor. What can I say? She grew on me. Those Sundays after church, instead of sitting on the couch with our parents, Maribel and I started hanging out in the kitchen by ourselves. She wasn't always good at keeping up a conversation. She lost her train of thought sometimes, and she talked slow in order to find the right words as she went along, and sometimes she forgot that we'd already discussed something, so I had to repeat myself. But a lot of the things she said were smart. Besides, I had to learn that she was listening even when it seemed like she wasn't. When I had met her in the Dollar Tree before I knew anything about her, she had seemed intimidating and aloof. But now that I know better, I understand not to take it personally. She would trace her fingernails along the top of the kitchen table or look at the ceiling sometimes. But when I stopped talking, she would respond in a way that proved she'd been paying attention all along. Even better, that she was actually interested in what I had said, which was more than I could say for most people, and definitely more than I could say for any girl I've ever known. My dad didn't like it. "Why can't you talk to normal girls?" he asked me once after the Riveras left. "What is that supposed to mean?" my mom said. But we all knew what he meant. Why couldn't I talk to a girl that wasn't brain damaged? I did talk to the so-called normal girls, of course. I asked them to pass me paper in class, or I mumbled an apology when I bumped into one of them in the hall. But it was never easy for me. At least not in the way it was easy for me with Maribel. Maybe because she was brain damaged. Maybe because she didn't seem so intimidating because of that. In another life, one before whatever had happened to her had happened, I was pretty sure she would have been just another girl I was scared of. And I was pretty sure, too, that she wouldn't have given me the time of day. I had a feeling she'd been one of the popular girls, the one all the guys lusted over. But this was a different life, one where I was getting a chance with her. Maybe it was terrible to think of it like that, but I wasn't going to pass it up. "Do you remember that girl Enrique used to date?" my dad went on. "What was her name? Sandra? The one who wore headbands. You can't find someone like that?" "I don't want someone like that," I said. "Leave him alone," my mom chimed. "Maribel's a nice girl." "Maybe," my dad conceded, "but not for Mayor." My dad's narrow-mindedness only made me feel more connected to Maribel, though, like maybe I was the only one who understood her, the only one who was willing to give her a chance. I started stopping by her apartment sometimes after school. Her mom wouldn't let Maribel actually go anywhere with me, so she and I just sat on the floor in the bedroom she shared with her parents and talked. They had clothes folded in piles along the wall and a mattress wedged into the corner. Maribel had a sleeping bag that she rolled up during the day and set under the window. But the atmosphere was uninspiring, to say the least, and I found myself wishing that I could take her somewhere, even to just Dunkin' Donuts down the street, where I knew we could score free donuts if they were about to throw them out anyway. Or maybe to the movie theater, where I could show her how to sneak in the side door, which William and I had been doing forever. I thought she deserved it, getting out into the world. As far as I knew, she only went to school and came straight home, which made her seem a little like a caged bird who no one trusted to fly. But her mom wouldn't budge. The rule was if I wanted to see Maribel, it had to be at either her apartment or mine. No going outside. No taking a walk. No nothing. Most of the time I found her sitting on the bedroom floor, writing in her notebook or standing and staring out the back window. I'd ask her what she was looking at or what she was writing about. Sometimes she told me, other times she didn't. Either way, it didn't matter much to me. I was aware that my original reason for talking to Maribel, which had been fueled by a sense of responsibility, had been replaced by something else. I just wanted to be around her. I still wanted to take care of her in certain ways, but it was more than that now. I liked her. I liked her more than I had ever liked anyone. We talked about nothing mostly, like she was doing some, like what she was doing in school and about music and our parents. I would tell her the most random things. Did you know that the average person drinks 16,000 gallons of water by the time they die? Or about the time I saw Vicente Fox on TV and she would smile sometimes, which was always my goal. We talked about the weather because now that it's getting colder, she was waiting for it to snow to see what it was like. I guess there's no snow in Mexico, huh? I said. Yes. Yes, there's no snow in Mexico, or yes, there is snow. There is snow. In Mexico? No way. In the north. Yes, she said. You know the different kinds of snow, right? There's wet snow, which can get crusty and freeze, and then there's really light snow, which is soft. And don't even get me started on snowflakes. There are 4 classes of those: columns, dendrites, needles, and rimmed snow. She pulled out her notebook. Say it again. I did, and she wrote it down. You like that? I asked. She nodded. Can I see? I held up my hand. Without hesitation, she gave me her notebook. On the page that was open, she written, "Wet snow is hard, light snow is soft." Her handwriting was small and tight, and she pushed down so hard with the black pen she was using that she made indents on the paper. Everything was centered, one line at a time, down the middle of the page. At the top, way up in the margin, she had written her name and address. I kept reading. Close the door behind you. Mrs. Pacer is room 310. My room is 312. How much does the bus ride cost? What is the name of the bus driver? Look at the bus driver's badge. Crystal. The school bus is free. The city bus is not free. I flipped back a few pages and read. This is Newark, Delaware. Delaware is 3,333 kilometers from home. I feel the same today as I did yesterday. I handed the notebook back to her. What happened? I asked. What? What is it? Was it a car accident? When? Sorry, I mean, what happened to you? I fell. I was on. She stopped. It's long. It's a long story? She shook her head. A long thing. Of wood. I racked my brain. A bat? I hated it when I didn't know what she was getting at. I wanted to show her that I could follow her. I wanted to be the one person that was easy for her to talk to. A ladder, she said finally. Oh, a long thing made out of wood. Right. You were up on a ladder? I broke two, she held up 2 fingers, of my ribs. And you hit your head? She lifted a flap of hair and showed me a scar, pink and waxy like a gummy worm, behind her ear. Does it still hurt now? Like, can you sleep on it? I get headaches. So that's what the sunglasses are for? Yes. Do you even remember it? I was on the ladder, I filled in. She nodded. And when I was in the hospital, I don't know where I went in between. Well, someone must have taken you to the hospital. I mean, I lost myself in between. Oh, I said. And then I just sat there, because something about that idea that you could be one person in one moment and then wake up and be completely different punched me in the gut. You don't ask me how I'm feeling, Maribel said. I hate it when people ask me that. She told me that before, but I didn't point it out. I just said, it probably gets old, huh? I want to be like everybody else. Yeah, I said, because I knew just what she'd meant. I'd spent my whole life feeling like that. Like everybody else was onto something that I couldn't seem to find, that I didn't even know existed. I wanted to figure it out. The secret to having the easy life that everyone else seemed to have, where they fit in and were good at everything they tried. Year after year, I waited for it all to fall into place. Every September, I told myself, this year will be different. But year after year, it was all just the same. I didn't say anything in response to Maribel that day. We moved on to another topic. But later that night, when I was lying in bed, I realized what I should have said, because for her, at least, it would have been the truth. You shouldn't want to be like everybody else. Then you wouldn't be like you. One day, I walked back from her place to find my dad sitting on the couch, watching television. He had his sweat sock feet up on the coffee table and a bottle of beer in his hands. Usually, he didn't get home until later, so both of us were surprised to see each other. What are you doing here? I asked. He sat up, startled. The diner closed early today. Not enough customers in the afternoons anymore. Aren't you supposed to be at soccer? I tensed. I was, I said. You're not wearing your soccer clothes? Yeah, I scrambled through excuses in my head. My clothes were dirty, so I borrowed someone else's stuff. This is someone else's? This? What you're wearing? Well, I had to give it back after practice, so I changed into my regular clothes again. You gave dirty clothes back to someone. I nodded. Who? I said the first name I could think of. Jamal Blair. My dad pushed out his lips. He was sitting on the couch, twisted to look at me. I never heard that name. He's good. He's a midfielder. My dad squinted like he was studying me with X-ray vision. I tried to stand as still as possible. When's the next game? He asked, like he was testing me. I need to check. You don't know? I didn't say anything. You don't know? My dad asked again, his voice booming this time. This was how things went with him. One minute you were having a conversation, and then the next minute he was blowing up. There had been one other time that my dad had mentioned wanting to go to a game, but the fact that his work schedule wouldn't allow it had saved me. It was basically the only thing that had been saving me all along. By the time he came home each day, I just said I'd been at soccer and he didn't know the difference. But it was over now, I thought. He'd finally seen through me. My dad raised his beer bottle and angled it toward the light. Gone, he'd muttered. He held out the bottle over the back of the couch. Get me another. From where I stood, I could see 4 empties lined up next to the sink in the kitchen. I took the bottle, and my dad slumped back down into the couch cushions. What was that? Were we done now? Then from the couch, my dad yelled, Celia! I heard my mom's footsteps move through their bedroom and down the hall. Are you calling me? You can't keep up with the laundry? She walked into the living room shaking her head. What are you talking about? Mayo's soccer clothes. He says they're in the laundry. My mom looked at me, confused. I just stared at her, trying to look as innocent as possible. But then her face changed. And for a split second, I thought that maybe she had figured it out. But if she had, she didn't give me away. Instead, she said, Sorry, I'll do laundry today. Carajo, my dad said. And that was the end of that.